Hello everyone, this is Deepak and in today's lecture we'll be talking about a famous personality called John Dewey. I'm sure many of you must have heard the name John Dewey if you are preparing for CTET, STET or any other teaching examinations. He is a man who is created some kind of stir in the field of children's psychology. He believes children are the real constructor of knowledge. Children are not something that they depend on the youths or they depend on the adults to learn something. They can learn, they can construct their own understanding, their own knowledge by themselves. They are capable of creating, they are capable of constructing knowledges. And this is why he is called the father of constructivism, or sometimes he is also called the father of progressive education in India as well as in abroad. Right? So in this video, we'll be analyzing his personality, his thoughts, his ideas, for what purpose he is known in the field of children's psychology. So please be with me and let's concentrate on the board. Friends, we are talking about John Dewey. John Dewey. So let's understand John Dewey first. All right. So see, I have written some points so that you would have convenient, so that you can write something and you will be going accordingly. So as I told you, John Dewey, he is one of the greatest constructivists of modern times. According to him, children are the real constructor of knowledge. First, he is called the father of progressive education in India as well as in abroad. Progressive education means education which helps us, that enables human beings to progress in their lives. Progressive education is vital in modern times because if in this century of science and technology, if we don't understand the meaning of progressive education, definitely we would be bad in our life. So we must understand what is progressive education. And he is John Dewey, he is the one who propounded the theory, who is called the father of progressive education. According to him, progressive education is the only tool through which human being can touch the highest peaks in their lives, right? And he promoted progressive education enormously throughout his life. So progressive education, according to him, is the milestone. It can prove milestone in the journey of children, upbringing, or in the journey of children program, right? In 1894, founded the Black School in Chicago. Very important. Questions are also asked from this very second point. Who started the Lab School in Chicago and when? So he the one who started Lab School, and it happened in 1894. As I told you, he was the real constructivist who considers children are the real constructor of knowledge. They can learn by themselves. Teachers are just a mentor who can just guide him. It is not that in absence of teacher, students cannot learn anything. Students or the children have innate ability to acquire. They have innate ability to learn anything new from their society. So be teachers. Teachers are just the guide. They are just the support. That's all. And the role of teacher is nothing more than a support, according to John Dewey. In 1894, founded the Lab School. He promotes the learning by doing concept. Very important. Try to understand the concept called learning by doing. Learning by doing, it means he says students should or children should let them free to construct their own knowledges. Means he says learning by doing. Learning by doing. Instead of asking students or children to learn to memorize something, let them construct their own knowledges. So if a student will learn something by learning and by doing, if they learn something by doing, that knowledge is supposed to be real knowledge, and that knowledge would further help in his or her life to get whatever he or she wants in his life, right? So this very concept, this very theory became very famous in 1894 because this theory created kind of agitation in the field of children's psychology. Because earlier, before John Dewey many of the psychologists, they consider children are someone who needs assistance of an adult, and only then children can construct their knowledge. In absence of adults, children are incapable. They don't have innate capacity to learn something new. But it was John Dewey who totally revolutionized the conception called children's psychology, and this very concept became very famous. Right. Next point. One thing that he always wanted, that he didn't want teacher-centered classroom. John Dewey always promoted student-centered classroom. Means the children or the students should be the at the center point in the classroom. It doesn't mean that the teacher is everything. No, students are everything. According to students, the teachers are supposed to make laws. Teachers are supposed to teach them. Okay, if students are not getting entertained in some particular topic, then it is teacher who has to change his plan. He has to change his strategy accordingly, and only then it can be said that this classroom is student-centered classroom. So he wanted what? A shift from teacher-centered classroom to student-centered classroom. Very important. When I say a shift from teacher-centered classroom to a student-centered classroom, it simply means a teacher-centered classroom depends on teacher only, right? But if I say student-centered classroom or children-centered classroom, it means children are the main. Children are the backbone of the classroom. Okay, so we have to make disciplines, we have to make norms, we have to make regulations, we have to make any rules according to the comfort of the students, not according to the comforts of the teacher, right? Yes, a good teacher in a good classroom or in a good student-centered or like a children-centered classroom, teachers are supposed to visit each and every individual and ask what is their problem. If teacher is doing so, it means definitely the classroom is called a student-centered classroom. And if teacher is standing at one point and children are coming with their problems and teacher is not responding to all students equally or accordingly to their needs, it is called teacher-centered classroom. So teacher-centered classroom was, and it was traditional system. And that traditional system was not very much helpful. It was not very much conducive. This is why John Dewey wanted a shift from teacher-centered to student-centered classroom, right? The next point is, very important. Try to understand. In next point, John Dewey has given a theory called tripolar education system. Or before John Dewey, there was a psychologist called Adam. So Adam, also a psychologist, also constructivist psychologist, but his opinion is some different from John Dewey. So according to Adam, education must be a bipolar system of education. So he focuses on bipolar education system. Bipolar education system, and this very concept has been talked in his famous book called Evolution of Education Theory. Evolution of Education Theory. In this very theory, there is a book called Evolution of Education Theory. In this book, he has talked the bipolar education system, in which Adam has emphasized that teaching requires two things. So one, teacher, and then a student. He says if there is one teacher and there is one student, we can say bipolar system of education. So Adam was in a state of mind where he was very much committed that in a classroom we need only teacher and a student, and if two meet together, then we can say this is a classroom and learning can happen. This was the thought of Adam. But according to Dewey, this is very important. I am not saying Adam was not a constructivist. He was constructivist, but his opinion was, his perception was something, to some extent it was different from John Dewey. So what John Dewey said is very important. To John Dewey, education is not bipolar system of imparting knowledge. According to John Dewey, education is a tripolar. It should be tripolar. So, to DV, education should be the tripolar system. Very important. When John Dewey says education should be the tripolar system, what does he mean? Try to understand. Very important. He says, okay, if you want to create a good classroom, if you want to create an aura of learning, if you want to create an atmosphere of learning by doing, then you need three things. In a good classroom, three things are, very important. Three things are required. So he makes a call, triangle, and he puts teacher over here. Then he says children or students. Then he puts curriculum, and this is called teaching process. So a good teaching process requires three things according to John Dewey. A good teaching process must have three things. First, there must be a good teacher. Then what? Children. And then there must be a specified curriculum. There must be a specific curriculum so that teacher can teach the students according to the curriculum. So these three things are the basic things in tripolar education system or tripolar teaching process, which is said by John Dewey. In the case of Adam, we saw education was the bipolar system, but in John Dewey, tripolar system. I hope this video would prove vital for every one of you who are preparing for a state, CTET and any other teaching examinations. Thank you very much. We'll be coming up with new videos like that. Hope it has given you some scope, some wider canvas about the things. Thank you very much.